In early 2025, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky issued a stark warning. Russia is preparing for a large-scale offensive that may begin as early as May. The announcement, while headline-grabbing, was met with skepticism by some observers. After all, similar warnings have preceded other phases of the war with mixed outcomes. However, subsequent reports from both Western and Ukrainian sources suggest that this time the warning may carry more weight. Let's break down what we know, what it might mean for Ukraine, and how it fits into the larger geopolitical game between Russia, Ukraine, and the West. The strategic picture. The front lines in Ukraine have remained largely stable since late 2023, with Russia making incremental gains through what military analysts often refer to as a creeping offensive. This slow, grinding strategy, marked by small advances, massive artillery use, and human wave tactics, has cost Russia dearly in manpower and equipment. But it's also worn down Ukrainian defenses in key sectors, especially in the eastern part of the country. One such sector is the Lyman direction in Donetsk Oblast. This area is strategically important because it serves as a potential gateway for Russia to advance toward the Oskol River and possibly retake control of key logistical hubs that it lost in the Ukrainian counteroffensives of fall 2022. The Institute for the Study of War, ISW, a Washington-based think tank, recently reported that Russian troops have advanced northwest of Novolyubivka, northeast of the city of Lyman, in early April 2025. The move, while small on the map, signals a potential renewed push to control the entire region between the Oskil and Zherbets rivers. What makes this area especially significant is the configuration of the front line. A salient near the village of Terny, combined with a large Russian-held bulge just north of it, creates the perfect launching pad for a broader assault. If Russia manages to push through this sector and reach the settlement of Borova, it could split Ukrainian defenses and secure a stronger foothold in Donetsk, a key political goal for the Kremlin. Military signals and troop movements. One of the most credible indicators that an offensive might be imminent came from a Ukrainian military officer in the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade. He reported in late March that Russia had deployed 2 to 3 divisions in the sector his unit defends, and that reserves were being trained in rear areas for offensive operations. That aligns with satellite imagery showing increased activity in Russian military bases in Belgorod and Rostov regions just across the border. Additional signs include the construction of new logistics lines, increased rail traffic, and the activation of supply depots. Russia also launched a fresh conscription wave in April, drafting 160,000 men, the largest since the start of the full-scale invasion. Officially, the Kremlin claims the draft has nothing to do with the war in Ukraine. But few outside of Russia believe that line. Symbolic goals and political messaging, beyond pure military objectives, the Russian leadership is eyeing symbolic victories. One of them could be full control over Luhansk Oblast, which would allow the Kremlin to declare that it has liberated the entire territory of the so-called Luhansk People's Republic, LNR. Only small pockets of land in the northern part of Luhansk remain under Ukrainian control. Capturing them would require relatively modest effort compared to other directions, but the propaganda value would be immense. With Vladimir Putin set to begin his new presidential term in May, a fresh military gain, however minor on the map, would bolster the narrative of success back home. It would also serve as a bargaining chip in any future peace talks. The bigger picture, frontline pressures and alternative offensives. While the Lyman direction may become a flashpoint in the coming months, it is not the only sector where Russia is increasing pressure. In Zaporizhzhia, Russian forces have recently resumed mechanized assaults west of Kurakov. These attacks have so far failed to break through Ukrainian lines, but they appear to be part of a broader strategy to stretch Ukrainian resources across multiple fronts. If Ukraine is forced to reinforce multiple sectors simultaneously, it risks thinning its defenses and becoming vulnerable to a breakthrough somewhere along the 200-kilometer front line. Moreover, Russia's recent acquisition of large quantities of North Korean artillery shells and Iranian-made drones has allowed it to sustain attacks at a level that would have been impossible a year ago. This foreign support, unofficial and deniable, is helping Moscow maintain pressure without mobilizing its domestic economy further. Western support and the clock ticking. In the United States and Europe, support for Ukraine is still strong, but cracks are beginning to show. In Washington, debates over future aid packages have become more contentious, with some lawmakers calling for limits or conditions tied to Ukrainian political reforms. Meanwhile, in Europe, countries like Germany and France are pressing Kyiv to show military results that justify continued support. The longer the war drags on with no major changes on the map, the harder it becomes to sustain public backing. That's why any Russian gains, even small ones, could have outsized effects. A successful Russian advance in Lyman or elsewhere might not win the war, but it could shake Western confidence and impact the political debate around military aid. Conclusion: what comes next? As of April 2025, the situation remains fluid. Russia's plans for a spring offensive appear real, though their scale and objectives are still unclear. What is clear is that the Kremlin continues to play a long game, grinding down Ukrainian defenses, betting on Western fatigue, and aiming for political wins as much as military ones. For Ukraine, the coming weeks could be decisive. Holding the line in Lyman and elsewhere may not deliver dramatic headlines, but it could prevent Russia from seizing the narrative and the initiative at a crucial time. The war is entering its third year, and neither side is close to victory. But the battles to come this spring could shape the course of the conflict for months or even years to follow.